When we are not theologically anchored, we misunderstand what God is wanting to do in our lives right now and in the world today. For example, whenever we talk about political issues, the question is, what is the lens we're looking at this issue through? So politics stems from the Greek word polis, which is the city or govern the people in the city. Politics is how do we govern people? And so anytime you're dealing with people, you're dealing with quote unquote political issues. That's why there's so much overlap when a Christian who maybe doesn't believe that we should actually engage in the political systems of this world speaks into issues, human issues, because politics is trying to address human issues. And so we're still, whether or not we participate in the political systems, we're still going to deal with the issues. And so the question is, are we looking at this through a lens of being anchored theologically, anchored in Jesus, anchored in the Word of God, or are we looking at it through a lens of what makes sense for this political system? You see, when God tells Israel and commands his people to treat foreigners, if a foreigner resides among you, treat him as your native born, as it says in the Torah, we might pontificate about whether or not that's actually a good move, thinking of all the resources that could involve and how do you protect your people and all of this. It may not make sense if we're thinking at it through a political system of this world. But here's the thing. We misunderstand that God's goal for us is not to figure out the best way for earthly kingdoms to play kingdom. The goal that God has for us is to become a people who reflect him and to reflect his character. God's kingdom is not going to come and infiltrate a nation of this world and the political system of this world. God's kingdom transcends that. It's going to come and judge the nations of this world. As you quote unquote played your kingdom, did you reflect the character and values of me, the Creator? So when God tells us in the Torah to treat the foreigner as the native born, God is specifically wanting to confront our bias towards prejudice, our bias towards self-protection, our bias to not loving others well. So the question is, are we willing to surrender to that and to relating with people in this world, people of other nations, and treat them as image bearers of God? Or are we just going to do it our selfish way, the way, the systems of this world would try to create rules and laws around it? The goal that God has for you and I is not to figure out how best to play kingdom. The goal that God has is for us to become like him.